Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our board meeting. It's such a great to see all of you guys here tonight, our residents that come out to support us and anything that we're going through tonight. There's some ground rules we'll go over later, but for now, can everybody please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Megan, will you call the roll?
Yes, Trustee Lautner.
Here.
Trustee Zora.
Here.
Trustee Council.
Here.
Trustee Sheehan.
Here.
Trustee Stewart.
Here.
Trustee Caputo.
Here.
President DeCipio.
Here.
A quorum is present, Mr. President.
Thank you, Megan. Okay, first on the agenda is the recognition of swearing in of probationary police officers Jackie Haupt and Spencer Olson. I'm sorry, Jackie, I got it wrong, I'm sure. So tonight we gather as a family to celebrate and recognize two recently hired members of the police department. Officer Spencer Olson and Jackie Haupt joined the department in August of 2023. Understanding that they have been members of this department for just over a year, tonight is a night where we can bring their families together and all congratulate them together. Officer Haupt came to the LPPD with a background in law enforcement as she spent 6 years with the Cook County Department of Corrections. Officer Haupt has a bachelor's degree from Texas A&M University, Central Texas in criminal justice, and a minor in sociology. Here with Officer Haupt are her two children, Sophia and Maverick, her mother, sister, niece, nephew, and grandparents, who will all want you to introduce them for us. Officer Olson came to the LPPD after working as a dangerous goods agent for FedEx at O'Hare Airport. Officer Olson was also a member of the U.S. Army in the Field Artillery Unit. Officer Olson has an associate's in arts degree from Triton College and is working on completing his bachelor's degree in education from Concordia University. Here with Officer Olson is his wife Brittany, his three children, Levi, Isla, Elwin, along with his father Brad and his father-in-law Dan. Please help me in congratulating Officer Olson and Officer Haupt and welcome them to a Grange Park family.
Swearing in, so we'll start with you, Officer Haupt. If you could raise your right hand, please. I state your name.
I, Jacqueline Haupt,
Do hereby solemnly swear that I will uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States of America and the Constitution of the State of Illinois, and I will faithfully carry out all the duties imposed upon and entrusted in me as a probationary police officer of the Village of LaGrange Park, Cook County, Illinois. Congratulations.
Thank you.
If you could raise your right hand, please. I state your name.
I, Spencer Olson,
Do hereby solemnly swear that I will uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States of America and the Constitution of the State of Illinois, and I will faithfully carry out all the duties imposed upon and entrusted in me as a probationary police officer
officer
of the Village of LaGrange Park,
of the Village of LaGrange Park,
Cook County, Illinois.
Cook County, Illinois.
Congratulations.
Good evening. Thank you all for being here tonight as we officially welcome and swear in two outstanding individuals to the LaGrange Park Police Department. It is my honor to introduce again Officer Spencer Olson and Jackie Haupt. Today marks a significant milestone in their careers and a proud moment for our community. Spencer and Jackie have demonstrated exceptional dedication, integrity, and a commitment to serving and protecting our residents. Their journey to this point has been marked by rigorous training, unwavering determination, and a deep sense of duty. Spencer, your journey to this moment has been one of perseverance and passion. Your commitment to upholding the law and ensuring the safety of our community is truly commendable. We are confident that your skills, compassion, and dedication will make a positive impact on the lives of those you serve. Your presence in our department strengthens our resolve to maintain peace and security in LaGrange Park. Jackie, your dedication to public service and your unwavering commitment to justice have brought you to this significant day. Your ability to connect with people, your empathy, and your strong sense of duty are qualities that will serve you well in your role as a police officer. We are proud to have you as part of our team and look forward to the positive contributions you will make to our community. To you both, remember that you are not just enforcers of the law, but also guardians of trust and symbols of hope for our community. Your actions, decisions, and interactions will shape the perception of our police department and influence the lives of many. Uphold the values of integrity, respect, and fairness in all that you do. We stand here today not only to celebrate your achievements, but also to remind you of the immense responsibility that comes with the badge. The trust placed in you by the residents of LaGrange Park is a testament to your character and dedication. Wear your badge with pride, knowing that you have the support and gratitude of the entire community. In closing, I would like to extend my heartfelt congratulations to Officer Spencer Olson and Jackie Haupt. We are excited to see the positive impact that you will have on our community. Congratulations.
Officer, congratulations. Officer, congratulations.
Thank you for your service. Congratulations. Thank you.
So I know most of you are here tonight for the Norm farewell tour. It ends tonight after a month-long celebration, which is so deserved. So this past September 13th, Deputy Fire Chief Norm Rick retired from the LaGrange Park Fire Department. Norm actually served the village over 42 years, and upon his retirement, he had dedicated 44 years of service to the overall fire services. Norm began with the village of LaGrange Park in September of 1980, volunteering as part of fire and rescue. He became a cadet and EMT and officially joined the fire department in 1983. He served in various roles and ranks, including firefighter, paramedic, lieutenant, battalion chief, division chief, and deputy chief. Norm's contributions to the Grange Park Fire Department has been invaluable. Throughout his career, he was instrumental in training personnel, conducting vehicle maintenance, developing department policies and standard operating guidelines, and conducting fire inspections. In addition to his part-time and paid on-call service in LaGrange Park, Norm worked full-time in EMS in the fire departments in Elmhurst, Western Springs, and most notably Oak Lawn, where he spent 26 years and retired as deputy chief in 2013. Norm grew up in LaGrange Park on Brainerd Avenue and raised his family in the village, currently now living on Deer Path Lane. The village would like to thank Norm for his outstanding commitment and contributions to our village. Congratulations, Norm.
Norm, if I can ask you to come on up. This is it. Just wanted to say a few quick words and then we have a presentation. For those of you who know our community well, we run a predominantly paid-on-call fire department, part-time, paid-on-call. Norm has served as a volunteer and a paid-on-call part-time employee for nearly 44 of those years. He had a few short breaks in service due to his full-time career that made him move out of town, but he immediately moved right back because he grew up in LaGrange Park and wanted to continue serving and live in our community. As a part-time or paid-on-call department, it takes a tremendous amount of dedication to do this, in addition to raising a family, having a career, and following several other challenges, or in addition to several other challenges in your life. Norm has stood strong through 44 years of doing such and continued to serve our village with extreme dedication, dignity. He's been well respected by his peers and all of the members of our department over the years. He has helped several people in those 44 years with their fire service careers, with making our department stronger, and with me personally running this department. He was the backbone, as I said earlier, for those of you who are here, of our policies, our standard operating guidelines, administrative things such as payroll, records and reports. And he has stayed on top of that, pushing me several times to make sure I'm on track and keep the department moving in the right direction. So I appreciate that. He has been, you know, it's hard to say. It's sometimes people will say, well, everybody's replaceable. I don't know if I agree with that. I think obviously someone will take his place, but everybody has unique aspects about them and helps people in different ways or helps organizations in other ways. So in some ways, Norm is irreplaceable. We'll get the job done going forward, but it is an extreme loss to this community in a good way, so hopefully he can enjoy himself. But for me personally, as I struggle the next several months and years, along with John and other officers, no, we will get through it, but it is a significant loss to our community. He has been such a backbone, as I said earlier. So again, congratulations. I think the village president would like to present you with something.
Thank you, Chief. I usually use extreme loss at a funeral. But now we all know where Norm lives, on Deer Path. And the reason I say that is, if you're ever having a bad day, walk by Norm's house and see Norm, because he's always got a smile on his face. And it's contagious. And we're so grateful that Norm has given us what he's given us over the 44 years. We'll miss him dearly, but he's not going anywhere. Congratulations, Norm, and enjoy retirement. So on behalf of the board, the staff, and the village, with our greatest appreciation, Deputy Fire Chief Norm Rick, thank you for over 42 years of dedicated service to the village of LaGrange Park. Best wishes on your retirement.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. My wife's going to love this. I don't have a speech planned. I'm not a good ad-lib speaker, so yeah. It's very awkward for myself to be the center of attention. For 44 years, I've always tried to be the behind-the-scenes person driving you know, what I do, small tasks that I do every day, I hopefully have created some help wherever I've worked, whether it be this fire department, where I got my start, the youngest I could be, which I also finished my career here, the oldest I was allowed to be as well. But in there, you know, it's been a great career. Thank you for allowing me to work here and the ability to have worked other places. Past village manager here as well. It's good to see you. And it's just been a great career. 44 years flew by. To the young recruits, it's going to go so much faster than you think. It flew by for me. It just, I can't believe it's been 44 years. So thank you. Thank you all. Hopefully this is the end of the celebration now. Thank you.
Okay, next on the agenda is the swearing in of promoted fire department officer, Deputy Chief John Pisnenka. John Pisnenka began his career with the Grange Park Fire Department on August 1st, 1996. He was promoted to lieutenant in December of 2003 and was promoted to captain in September of 2020. John has served the department in various capacities. He most recently served as a fire department captain overseeing the training division and also vehicle maintenance. He also assisted with fire department administration and operations during his tenure, helping maintain the IT needs of the department, assisting with payroll and records, and has previously served as fire inspector. John grew up in LaGrange Park on Beach Avenue along with his brother Chris, who previously served as a lieutenant with our department. John now lives on Kemen Avenue with his wife and daughter. John holds various certification from the Office of the Illinois State Fire Marshal's Office, including Fire Officer 2 and Fire Department Safety Officer. He is currently enrolled in the Chief Fire Officer Certification Program, which should be completed in the next several months. Deputy Fire Chief position became vacated with the retirement of Deputy Fire Chief Norm Rick. Did he just retire? In evaluating the needs of the department and replacing Norm, it was determined that John was best suited to fill this position at this juncture. As such, John was promoted to Deputy Fire Chief effective this past September 14th. We recommend swearing in John as the Deputy Fire Chief of the Grange Park Fire Department. So we will swear in John.
Hey, John, if you can come up.
You can raise your right hand for him. Yeah, perfect. I state your name.
I, John Seneca,
Hereby do solemnly swear
hereby do solemnly swear
that I will uphold and defend
that I will uphold and defend
the Constitution
the Constitution
of the United States of America
of the United States of America
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
of the State of Illinois,
of the State of Illinois,
and I will faithfully carry out
and I will faithfully carry out
all the duties imposed upon
all the duties imposed upon
and entrusted in me
and entrusted in me
as Deputy Fire Chief
as Deputy Fire Chief
of the Village of LaGrange Park,
of the Village of LaGrange Park,
Cook County, Illinois.
Cook County, Illinois.
Congratulations.
Thank you. The first thing I'd like to do, besides saying a few quick words again, is I'm going to have John introduce his family and then ask his family to come up for our formal badge pinning. I'll ask his immediate family to come up. But John, if you could tell us who's here tonight.
Oh, sure.
If you could wave.
My wife Debbie, my daughter Jillian, my mother Jean, my brother way in the back there with the hat, Chris, his son Connor, my nephew, my niece Cassie, and my other nephew Christopher hiding back there, my goddaughter Cheyenne, and a couple of my neighbors Frank and Jenny. I hope I got everybody right.
If you want to come on up. As John alluded to, and in a memo, Chris, his brother, served on the fire department for many years and left as a lieutenant. He currently has his nephew on our fire department, Chris. John grew up in the village of LaGrange Park with his family and continues to serve. But I will say things, if we can, we'll just go ahead. Who would you like to do the formal pinning? All right.
You poke me? Okay. Okay.
Great, thank you. As I said earlier, with Norm's retirement, some people may or may not be irreplaceable. Well, John, you got to live up to Norm. I have no doubts that he will. He is an able-bodied person with the right mentality, the right knowledge, and the right level of experience to move up into this position. There will be a lot of new challenges, but I know I am firmly behind him. I believe in him. He will take the department forward. There will be some learning curve, as Norm has done an enormous amount, but John will be able to handle it and help us move forward. He is the right person for the job at this time in our juncture of our fire department, and I look forward to continue to working with him. As you know, he served, I think we're at 28 years overall so far between his EMT time and his fire department time, and was promoted initially in 2003. So he's been in office here quite a while, and it is now time for the next step in the next challenge. So thank you again for your years of service. Congratulations on this promotion. It is well deserved. And thank you to his family for allowing him to continue to serve. We look forward to a great career moving forward.
Thank you, Norm, for retiring. I love you. Norm.
Norm. All right. The after party.
Cordial. Thank you, Norm. Yeah, Karina. Okay. Okay, next up we have a presentation, Citizen Canine Senior Dog Rescue. I'd like to introduce Karina Reyes.
Thank you, President DeCiccio. I'm very pleased to introduce to you today my rescue partner, Miriam Gardner-Ryan. And thank you for the opportunity to be here and for the pleasure of being able to expand our network and giving us the opportunity to introduce ourselves more formally to the community. I'm in my fourth year here, in LaGrange Park. It's been a pleasure to be here. I love the neighborhood. I love my neighbors. I'm the single old lady on the corner of Dover and Woodlawn Avenue. There's a bench that you're welcome to sit at that was made by Eagle Scouts as part of their graduation to becoming an Eagle Scout, dedicated to Citizen Canine Senior Dog Rescue. You're welcome to come by and sit anytime you like. We are looking forward to, hopefully in being here, people to recognize us more, know who we are, feel comfortable in reaching out to us, in letting us know about dogs they think need help, their interest potentially in volunteering for us, or maybe even being a foster, or heck, maybe even adopting a senior dog. We're very committed to this work. We're grateful to COVID for this one thing, because it's out of the boredom of COVID that we said, what should we do? And here we are, this many years later. We're excited to be doing this work. Not gonna lie, it's hard. Not gonna lie, it's emotionally challenging, and we are able, for the most part, to rise to the physical and emotional demands of the work, but we're constantly up against financial obstacles with the great many medical needs of our senior dogs. Last year we spent $25,000, a little over $25,000 on medical expenses alone. We welcome the opportunity to form more partnerships with businesses in the community, for anybody that wants to work with us potentially in fundraising opportunities and the like.
Any questions for any comments from the board? Trustee Lautner?
Thank you, Mr. President. I assume you've left your contact information with staff that can be distributed to us?
Yeah, actually, that's our volunteer, Carolyn Baird, who's handing out this information now. And we are, yeah, so it didn't occur to me to bring information for the audience. I didn't know there was going to be an audience. This is my first. Give me a break.
You're doing great.
So, yes, there's the information. You can read a little bit about us, about who we are, what we do, how we spend our money, how responsible we are and committed we are, and about the old dogs that we think deserve a lot of love and a lot of hugs in their golden years, just as we would wish for ourselves.
Karina, thank you for coming tonight. Thank you for your service to our community.
Thank you very much.
We're here to help you as you are here to help us. So thank you, and you
Thank
did
you
great
for
tonight.
having us.
Good
Thank
job.
you. Thank you very much.
Okay, we have one more presentation. It's the Leadership Shop, and Acting Executive Director Paul Kirschberger is with us tonight. Paul?
Good evening. Thank you so much to the Village of LaGrange Park for welcoming me this evening, and thank you to the community of LaGrange Park for listening to me until your portion of the meeting comes up today. So thank you for your active listening. Like President DeCipio said, my name is Paul Kirchberg. I'm the Acting Executive Director of the Leader Shop. The Leader Shop is a youth development nonprofit organization that has been serving the community of LaGrange Park as well as the surrounding township for 40 years. But I am surprised when I meet members of that community that have not heard of the Leader Shop. I think that it is one of the township's best kept secrets, but I don't want it to be a secret anymore. I want many people to know about what we do for the youth and how we build leaders to change the world around us. So, what is the mission of the Leader Shop? I do have a presentation up on the screen if you'd like to follow along. The Leader Shop, the mission is to empower youth to become community-minded leaders through diverse programs that foster confidence, knowledge, and leadership. Confidence, knowledge, and leadership are the three key points that we want to impart on all of our youth so that they can become the future leaders of this community, potentially sit in these chairs that we see here today on the village board. How do we envision doing that? Through our vision, build an ever-growing network of youth energized by service, responsibility to self, responsibility to the community, and responsibility to the world. Now, Paul, these are large concepts: leadership, confidence, knowledge. How do we actually get our youth from first grade all the way through high school to impart on these lessons? Well, I'm going to tell you how we fulfill that mission. We have consistent program offerings for all youth of all ages. It is a progressive model starting in kindergarten, going all the way up to high school. So I want to go through just a couple of those programs specific to age to give you a better understanding of how we achieve this mission. The first is with our after-school programs. These are for students aged kindergarten through 5th grade. And 2 days out of the week, Monday and Wednesday from 3 to 5 p.m., we meet at the First United Methodist Church in Grange for social recreation and academic activities. Social recreation, building friendships, learning what it means to be part of a community, academic activities, taking the extra time to focus on your studies, learning with adults so that they can become confident in themselves and what they're doing in schools. These are the lessons that we try to give our youngest students. And that program is only $20 a month to be a part of. If you portion that out in terms of per hour, per day, it's about $2 a day per month to be part of a leadership program for the after-school program. And here, just a couple of pictures to show you what kind of the laser pointer doesn't show on the TV. That's excellent. So the bottom picture there is real life Hungry Hungry Hippos. Does everyone remember the game that we used to play as kids, Hungry Hungry Hippos? We turned that into a more active game where the kids are pushing each other around on scooters with laundry baskets, collecting balls instead of slamming on the kitchen table. So active opportunities for them to make friends and be engaged in their studies. Quick statistic, we had 48 students in our program last year for 2,833 hours of role models, learning, and engagement with our youngest kids. After that, we move on to our middle school program. Getting ahead of myself. The mentoring program, that's another program that is an opportunity for our youth. Just like Big Brothers, Big Sisters, we have a mentoring program where we match one youth with one adult mentor who wants to be able to give a little bit more to their community. Or for a youth, someone who could use an additional adult mentor in their life, which could benefit every single youth in the community. They spend 4 hours together per month, and they are matched for a minimum of 1 year for the start. However, even though we are matching them at the young age 6 to 11, these mentor matches can and do stay together until the student graduates high school. We have a couple of mentor matches this year who started in first grade and are now working on completing their high school diploma this year, which is just fantastic to see. And then we also have monthly activities hosted by the Leadership as well. You can see at the bottom our pumpkin carving, which will be taking place next month. And then last year, our 28 mentor matches spent a total of 941 hours together in the community. Now we move on to middle school, our emerging middle school leaders. This is when they have taken the lessons that we taught them in the after-school program, and we want them to start showing those to the community. So it is a program for all students, all middle school age students within the village are welcome to attend this program. It is primarily social recreation, social emotional learning, as you can see here, going out to the Chicago Red Stars game, going to the Lincoln Park Zoo. But we also start giving them some volunteer opportunities where they can go out in their community and start giving back to the village that cares so much about them. We work with lots of different volunteer opportunities throughout our community, from food pantries to nursing homes to potentially canine shelters and rescue organizations. I would love to discuss that further later on. But this is the next step into becoming a leader, is starting to go out into the community. Last year, 78 middle schoolers participated, and they spent 784 hours in program, but they volunteered for 144 hours last year, which is just fantastic. And then finally, the culmination, the high school leadership program, the time that it is for them to go out in the community and say, this is who I am, this is what I believe, and this is what I want to give to my community that has supported me. So this is pretty much all volunteering opportunities with some social recreation. But instead of us saying, this is a great opportunity for you, this is where we want to go today, we turn it back to the kids and we say, what do you want to do? If you are passionate about something, how can the professional staff at the Leader Shop help you along that path and getting in touch with that community service opportunity or that community engagement? And last year, our high schoolers, almost 100 high schoolers, volunteered for 1,288 hours in the communities that they live in, the communities that they grew up in, and the communities that they will one day be a leader of. And that is the mission of the Leader Shop, is to home grow our future leaders of our community so that they have the skills necessary to carry us together into the future. We also provide kid enrichment days. These are days that kids are out of school, but their parents might not be off of school. Lots of kids get an entire week off for Thanksgiving. Lots of parents do not get the whole week off for Thanksgiving. What do we do with them on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday before the holiday? The Leader Shop offers an opportunity for them to come in and receive additional programming, social recreation, academic opportunity. These are also $20 a day to attend those, here we have also in-school programs. We go to schools, do field trips, we do assemblies, we do assemblies on team building, on anti-bullying, on internet safety. A school district can come to the Leader Shop, an organization can come to the Leader Shop and say, this is a problem that we're noticing in our community, or this is something that we want our kids to learn. Can you create a curriculum for us? And the professional staff at the Leader Shop can do just that. And then finally, we offer a summer camp, which is held weekly Monday through Friday in June and July. It is for students 1st through 8th grade. However, high school students can apply to be part of our camp counselor staff. They receive a small stipend for their work over the summer, working with 45 kids a week, 5 days a week, with social recreation, academic, and social emotional learning opportunities. This year, we served 130 different students. Even though there are only 45 a week, we do our best to make sure that everyone who applies to be part of the program gets in for at least 1 week so that they can be part of our programming. And here we have us playing in the backyard of the office there at Denning Park in LaGrange. And then as our year-end finale, we went to Cantini Park to take some private tours of the museum and also walk around the gardens. Other services that we offer, we do offer opportunities to complete mandated community service. Those individuals who find themselves requiring community service from the Justice Department, they are welcome and encouraged to come to the Leader Shop to complete those community service hours, because the kids that we see come in for our community service hours, they are the ones that are going to go work with the younger kids, help them with their homework, say, I have the ability to be a leader in this community, and maybe after I'm done with my community service hours, I can continue on at the Leader Shop and continue on a path to be a positive young adult in this community. We offer a scholarship to high school seniors every single year, named after one of the founding members of the Leader Shop. We train youth and youth mental health first aid training so that they can start to notice trends in their friends, or if their friend is having a hard time, how can they help and become a leader in their social friend group in little things like mental health crises. We also offer opportunities for internships for college students all throughout the Chicagoland area. We currently have interns from the University of Illinois Chicago, Loyola University, and Elmhurst University. All of our programs at the Leader Shop are open to all youth, regardless of socio and economic status, demographic of where they live, or their interest levels. We just want to make sure that they have the opportunities to find out who they are and how they can help their community. Annual registration fee for the program is $20 per participant. So for your high schoolers who are coming in to do those over 1,000 hours, each one of them paid $20 for the entire year in order to attend those programs. We also provide transportation to all participants at no extra cost. We have a fleet of 15-passenger vans. It does not matter to me where in the village or where in the township you live. I will make sure that my staff can come and pick you up, make sure that you get to your community service opportunity or your after-school program opportunity. So the purpose of me being here is to ask you to join our community of service, and for thanking you for welcoming us into your village community here. So if you want more information about the Leader Shop, you can visit us at theleadershop.org. You can email us at info@theleadershop.org, or you can email me personally at paulk@theleadershop.org. Thank you so much for having me this evening, and thank you so much for being part of our community. Thank you.
Julie and I had the privilege of having breakfast with you one day, and to listen to you and then to see you do this and all that you're doing for the children in our community, you are the perfect man for this job.
Thank
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. I could not
Any
be happier to
comments?
be part of the leadership and part of this community. And I was thinking to myself, I don't live in the village, but everyone here is making a real compelling argument for me to move in. So,
Trustee Lautner?
Thank you, Mr. President. I would just like to say that I've been familiar with the work of the Leadership Shop for many years, back to the CEP days of Community Extension Program. And I can attest to the number of quality programs and the success stories that your organization has had over the years. And I'm really glad to see you coming here and kind of reigniting the interest and extending the awareness to the community. I assume you're doing this to other communities in the area.
certainly. Yes.
And so I appreciate your efforts. And like I said, I'm very aware of the work that your organization's done for many years. And I can attest that it's a great organization. I appreciate your efforts.
Thank you so much, Trustee Launer. Thank you for your continued support of the leadership.
Thank you, Paul.
Of course, everyone. Take care. Have a good night.
Okay, before we move on, I would like to take some presidential privilege and move 19C2 up after public participation. I'd also like to recognize two individuals who have been instrumental in development of our community over the years. Trustee Marshall Cedar, who passed trustee. And an individual who has been involved in municipal government for his whole career, who is past village manager of our village, Steve Jones. Okay, I'm sure most of us are here for the Park District issue. So with that, I'd like to say good evening to everyone. It's wonderful to see so many people here tonight. Your presence shows just how much you care about our community, and it's encouraging to see many of you engaged in the discussion that shapes our village. I know that many of you are here specifically regarding the Community Park District's request for TIF funding. To help us manage our time effectively this evening, can I see a show of hands as how many people would like to speak tonight? Good. Okay, so because there's so many, we're gonna limit it to 2 minutes. If you can do your talk in 2 minutes, I'd appreciate that. Before we get started, I want to clarify that the Village of LaGrange Park and the Community Park District are entirely separate taxing bodies with their own boards, government structures, and their own autonomy and own referenda. If you have concerns specifically about the actions or decisions of the Park District, I encourage you to attend their board meetings where those matters are directly addressed. Tonight, we are here to discuss the Park District's request for TIF funding, specifically for the purpose of recreational center. Additionally, I'd like to make you aware that we have special counsel tonight, a personal friend of mine. She's a TIF expert, Kathy Orr. Thank you for coming. We'll be providing a presentation shortly on TIFs to better understand TIF districts and ours specifically. Please also note that the rules for public comment that the village reserves the right to disallow comments that are repetitive of those already made. I kindly ask that we all be respectful and mindful of others' time so that we are able to get through the full meeting agenda at a reasonable hour. For your convenience, we'll be moving 19C2 up so that those of you that are interested, that item may exit the meeting afterward if you wish. Thank you all for being here. With that, I would like to start the public comment section of our meeting. If you would like to speak to the board, please step up to the mic and give us your name and proceed with your comments. Could you please spell your last names too, please?
Hi, my name is Jane Fadul, and I'm so glad you're here today. I'm excited to talk about a cool idea for making LaGrange Park District an even better place for all of us. Instead of using the funds to fix up the streets, let's think about something instead that can make a big difference for everyone. How about we invest in a big new addition to our park district? This expansion would include a fantastic new gym, an awesome stage, and even a playground on the roof. As a member of the Footlight Players, I know how amazing it would be to have our own stage. We have to rent a stage for every performance, which can be expensive. With our stage, we could save money and use it to make shows even better. But it's not just about the Footlight Players. The new gym would be great great for lots of activities like karate classes, Nerf war, and so many more. This means there will be plenty of space for everyone to join in on these fun activities and have more classes. Plus, preschoolers that attend there would have a wonderful space to enjoy too. By investing in this new gym and stage, we're not just adding new features, we're creating a place where everyone can have fun and stay active all year round. Let's use the funds to make this an exciting addition a reality and make the LaGrange Park District a super fun place for everyone. Thank you so much for your support in helping us bring this great idea to life.
Okay, who's next? Yeah, well, if you could line up there, still be ready to speak.
Hi, Paul Feiner. I've lived here since 1956. After the triennial real estate assessment by Fritz Kagi, my house tax bill is now $8,408.92. So if you look at the state and local cap of 10 grand of what's deductible, I'm already over when you look at the tables for sales tax and stuff. So I'm against the new park district thing. My neighbor's tree limb is hanging over my driveway. I can only park on half of it. We've written to the village and they say they don't have any money, maybe till the end of the year to trim the trees. So I wish you'd do that first. I'm very unclear about the lead pipe expenses coming up. I've got friends who are contractors working in Brookfield, and they're telling me the stories about that. Chuck Hitzman got hit for $5 grand on the vacant lot. If you want to look up a fun story, call up Chuck. My 101-year-old neighbor isn't interested in the new gym. The people who run the Strive Fitness and the YMCA aren't interested in having a competing public gym. I don't have that much more to say, but I am against it. I don't think we can afford it at this point, so I hope that you vote it down. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
Good evening. I'm Jude Mason, M-A-S-O-N. I'm a footlight player and LaGrange Park resident. About a month ago, I heard we can't perform at Park Junior High. It's a commitment to be part of a musical and very time-consuming one at that. The people you perform with become part of a family, and I'm very sad my performance family lost a sage. I'm a 5th grade student at Brook Park, and I know I have many more performances with Footlight. Getting TIF money from the village would help my Footlight family to have a stage moving forward. I also walked around the neighborhood and got these petitions signed by people who think we should get the new addition to the Park District building. So,
thank you, Jude. Yeah, if you guys, whoever wants to talk, could you guys line up so we're not waiting? Thank you.
Hello, my name is Nancy Freeman, F-R-E-E-M-A-N. I am a resident of LaGrange Park. I have two families that live in LaGrange Park and own homes here, 6 grandchildren who are attending LaGrange Park Public Schools, and I would love to have a new gym and a new pool and a new playground, and I think it's a great idea, and it would be good for the community. However, there is a problem with property taxes. I personally own a home, and I pay an enormous amount in property taxes. Everyone who owns a home in LaGrange Park pays property taxes. You can only afford so much. And rather than doing that, I'm looking at different ways to find money to fund this project. One of the things I learned recently was that all of the residents of Plymouth Place who buy condos in Plymouth Place do not pay property taxes. There are over 300, and as of 2022, I think there were over 364 units at Plymouth Place. And that's not including the new arboretum that was recently built. And it's staggering that we can't at least research why they don't pay property taxes. I can understand the building itself and the land around the building, but those people who own the condos should be paying property taxes. That's my suggestion, to think outside the box and try and find a new way to raise money. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Hello, everybody. Thank you very much for giving us the opportunity to speak to you tonight. I appreciate it. My name is Phil Griffin. My family and I, we own a home in the village here. And I just want to say, before I go any further, that we all believe, my family and neighbors, we believe in community investment that is well-planned, transparent, and impactful. So I'm here tonight, obviously, to make a statement about the TIF request. This request is deeply concerning to me for the following 3 reasons. So the first reason is regarding transparency. So after the referendum that we had, the Park District made a statement on their website, and it said, quote, "If residents vote yes to approve the bond issuance, but no to the tax rate increase, the Park District would not have the capital to ensure operation of the expanded facility. The board would not further pursue expanding indoor recreational space in LaGrange Park." They said that. This is what happened, actually. So we voted yes for the referendum, no for the rate increase. So apparently, regardless, they continued to pursue the project. They have project documents submitted to you guys dated June 2023. They have removed that statement from their website, and they replaced it with something more fitting. So in my view, they have intentionally misled the residents and voters, which does not sit well with me. Second, the Park District commissioned a 5-year master plan in 2022, as they should. In that very recent plan, the Haynesworth Park building renovation and addition comes up as a priority C. So it's like on an A, B, C scale, A being most important, C being least. Finally, the gym is not a facility. It's a 1 high school sized basketball court. I think that they're coming to you with an unreasonable request. It puts us all in a very uncomfortable position. I think you guys should carefully consider who you're getting into an agreement with. Thank you.
Thank you, Phil.
Good evening. My name is Don Baumgart. We've been here since 1966. My first question to you is, how can you support it? If you build this, you're not going to have anybody there, and it's going to be empty. We only have 13,000 people as residents in the community. We don't have enough to support it. It'll be a white horse or black horse or whatever you want to call it on the market, because you've got LaGrange, and I understand Brookfield is considering building one also. So communities of this size just don't have the wherewithal to do it all. Thank you.
Thank you, Don.
Hi, my name is Cheryl Peterson. I'm reminding everyone, April of 2023, there was 2 referendums on the ballot. One to build this gymnasium and extension of the building, and also if the taxpayers would be willing to foot this bill, which at the time was $10.7 million. Currently, from what I understand, it went up 4, so that's $14.7 million. The voters, they voted no for both. What we are a democracy. What are we thinking? We voted no. That's the end of the story. To Mason's point, or Jude Mason's point, I understand he got some people signing. This was a people's vote on an actual ballot, and the people voted no. And what I don't understand is how the Park District is overruling this and is not accepting the people's vote. Are we a democracy? What is happening with our voting? What is happening with our essence of the constitutions and upholding this? It's just so disturbing to me. And from what I understand, a gentleman said that this is going to get built with the village assistance or not. This is such an arrogant, pompous statement that is overshadowing the people's vote. So I implore all of you to please take care of what the people wanted. Thank you.
Thank you, Cheryl.
Good evening, board. My name is Anna Peterson, no relation to Cheryl. I'm coming to implore you as a nurse, a parent, and a community member who bought her home in 2017 at Harding and Forest Avenue to please support the building of this gym facility. My son has been a student at Ready Teddy. I was a student at Ready Teddy 30-some years ago. I support growth in our community based on families, health, wellness, and however creative ways we can use to obtain that, I fully embrace. To my knowledge, the vote was split when it occurred, and I would like some clarification from the board to support that fact. The village voted up the proposal but did not vote up the funding. So here we are trying to find a way to create this gym and this space for our community, our kids, our future. And again, as a recent home buyer, LaGrange Park's taxes might be high. Everywhere in the area's taxes are high. So if you're gonna live in Cook County, LaGrange Park is the place to be. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Robert Consel, K-O-N-C-E-L. I retired on October 1st of 2018, coming up on my 6th year anniversary. And it's one of the best decisions I ever made, and I am on a fixed income for the last 6 years, retired on pension and Social Security. And if I remember correctly, I believe I voted against either one or both of the referendums when originally presented in the referendum. But you know, things change in time, especially financial conditions and how funding becomes available. And as I got older, I decided to revisit the current issue. So I looked at my recent real estate tax bills from 2020 to 2023. And you know what I saw, what I was paying? I saw that in 2020, my real estate taxes were $75.21, and they increased every year, obviously, like everybody else here, and currently they're $99,113. And I look at my tax bill, I see the schools, basically, in 2020, I paid $4,935, or 65.6% of my tax bill to the school districts. 2023, it's $5,562. It's $471 a month more now than it was 4 years ago. I look at what the Park District receives from our taxes, from our real estate tax bills that anybody can look at. In 2020, it was $230.05 a year, or $19.17 a month. In 2023, it was $279.85, or $23.32 a month. It's a $50 increase over the last 4 years, $12.50 a year. Bottom line is, for the schools, I'm paying $4,705 more in 2020 than the Park District, what we pay them, and $5,373 more to the schools and to the Park District. So in comparisons, I go to a corner bakery and get a salad, it costs $14. Go to Bona Beef and get a beef sandwich, fries, and a drink, which is my favorite, it's around $14 with tax also. So when you do a comparison of dollars, of $14 for one meal in a month compared to what we pay to the Park District in taxes for a year, it's pretty negligible.
Time.
Okay, so real briefly, so when I hear that the Park District wants to proceed with their expansion, knowing that if funds are available to be used, $243,000 per the agenda, I know that taxes cannot be increased any more than the current rate because of the restrictions of the TIF for the term of the TIF, which I believe is 16 years from now when it expires. I believe it's a good investment, a good idea for the village to improve the community and help keep our residents' money in the village by utilizing recreation facilities versus going to other localities for their activities. Thank you.
Thank you, Rob.
Evening, everyone. My name is Alexandria Zuck. Full disclosure, I do sit on our Community Park District Board, but I'm approaching you tonight as a nearly 30-year resident of this community. I would just, not to be redundant, but I have a growing family, and so am around many other growing families in the area who have all expressed support for this expansion. They unfortunately can't come to meetings such as this or attend quite as regularly because they are currently growing their families. Aside from that, I think that if we look around us, we need to look forward and see the current weather that is shifting just globally. And having an indoor, safe, affordable place to recreate is an investment in this community. It's only going to get hotter. The weather is only going to become more unpredictable. We need to think long term for what we are doing for the future families moving into this community. So that's what I have to say around that.
Thank you, Alex.
Hi guys, my name is Susan Zander. I'm a 20-year resident, I can't believe I'm saying that, of LaGrange Park. My husband and I, we have twin sons for seniors this year, and I feel like I have you all trumped. My tax bill went up $900 this month. It's been a little painful. It's kind of hurting my pocketbook right now, but I voted yes for the referendum, and I voted yes for the gym, and I want to tell you why. My kids were involved in all kinds of sports. We traveled to Riverside for Brookfield, or for basketball. We traveled to Brookfield for soccer. We traveled to Western Springs for volleyball. It was exhausting, and any young family can tell you we don't have that kind of time to spend in the car. Now my kids are working at the summer camp, which is fun for me, and they spend a lot of money at the 31st Street corridor. So they're putting their tax money back into Eno's Tacos and Subway. Bill's Place, we order 20 pizzas from them a week at summer camp. So our money is going back to the tax district. I have worked at the Park District for several years. I was actually, I first started at the start of the referendum, so that was a fun time for me. In my role with the community, I do marketing, I do special events, and I come face to face with everybody. I have a memory for faces, and I recognize a lot of people. I knocked on a lot of doors. A lot of people did say no to the referendum. The young families said yes, overwhelmingly. And I am with Alex. They couldn't be here tonight. They asked me to come in and talk to you guys on their behalf. They don't have the disposable income to send out mailers to everybody with disinformation, so they asked me to come and speak for them. They want a safe, secure environment for their preschool. They want more options for daycare for summer camp, and we will fill it. We have gone above and beyond in our operational costs, and we have been able to take that second thing that people voted no to, and we've made that almost a moot point because we're making that money, and we plan on making more money, putting it back into the taxes. Thank you guys for your time.
Thank you, Sue.
Hello. My name is Julie Mason. I'm Jude's mom. He's a much better public speaker than I am. I just wanted to speak really quickly to Susan and Alex's point about the families. I agree with them, and I also think a lot of those families that I know and I'm close with are Brookfield residents who regularly and frequently use our park district. So I am a LaGrange Park resident since 2012. I'm a mom of 3 boys who participate extensively in the park district programming. My youngest is finishing up his final year at Ready Teddy Preschool, where all my kids attended preschool. I also work at Ready Teddy now. I just started this year, and I see firsthand how important and necessary these updates and renovations are to the park district and the preschool. I also voted in favor of the referendum to pay for the improvements. I've grown very fond of the LaGrange Park community, and I'm excited for all of our new businesses and growth. I feel strongly about spending my money in the community that I live in. I regularly choose Hop District over other options in LaGrange for a girls' night out. I buy Andy's gift cards for birthday presents because it's in LaGrange Park. And whether alone or with my kids, I regularly get coffee and boba teas at Level Up Cafe. I even switch shopping from the Broadview Aldi to the LaGrange Park Aldi because I want my tax dollars going back into my community. That's why myself and my family support allocating TIF money to improve the park district. Furthermore, anyone who does not view the park district as worthy of TIF money clearly misses the vital importance of a vibrant and welcoming park district for all residents.
Thank you, Julie.
Hi, my name is Scott Sackey. I've been here for 15 years. Everybody complains about property taxes, but who can argue with kids that do such a good job presenting? But yeah, I got to ask you one thing though. I mean, part of the mess that we got here with the I guess the angst around this is why is the referendum constructed in the way that it was, so that it was in two parts? It should have been one self-contained referendum so that people fully knew what they were voting for, completely transparent in one place, point one. And then point two, the other question is everybody knows that we get a fraction of the voters in April as we do in the November vote. So why was this moved to April, or why couldn't this wait to a November vote where we would have had a much truer picture of what the constituents of this village wanted? Thank you.
Hi, my name is John Chadwick, Chadwick. Folks, we have a great park district. We have a very vibrant park district. It doesn't need a new gymnasium to remain vibrant. All these things that these people like to avail themselves of, that the park district provides, are still going to be there, whether there's a new gymnasium on Barnesdale or not. And the main point of this meeting is whether TIF money should be given over to the park district. It's not whether the park district's project is a great idea or a terrible one, as I think. But you know what? When they won't allow public comment at their meetings, a little bit of that has little choice but to spill over here. So I apologize for that. But the purpose of TIF, according to the village, is to use funds to assist private developments for projects that contribute to an expanded tax base. And I do not believe that this gymnasium project is going to really, in any meaningful way, contribute to our tax base. That's what the village says TIF is for. It also says and points out that under the TIF Act, which, by the way, the legislative intent of was to eliminate urban blight. One of the qualifications is that a project has to demonstrate financial feasibility to, quote, enable the village to recapture incentives over the life of the project, i.e., for the village to recapture more tax money, more revenue, because of the project in question. And I asked this board, how is the village going to recoup any tax money or greater tax money? And to the point that was made when the Park District came hat in hand to the village board asking for TIF money, that this was going to somehow result in increased revenue because people were going to suddenly be shopping in LaGrange Park as opposed to elsewhere. I think that's a ridiculous premise on its face, because the places that even some of these people tonight have already said they love shopping at and going to are here in LaGrange Park. They already do that. They're going to continue to do that, just as I am. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Hi, I'm Bob Cordy, C-O-R-T-E. I'm a 31-year resident of LaGrange Park. I just want to clarify a few things. He just said that we did not allow public comments at our meeting, which is totally false. It's against the law. We did offer public comments at our meeting, and people did speak at our last meeting. So that I wanted to clear up right away. The Park District is eligible for TIF money, and we applied for the TIF money. This money will be used for infrastructure parts of the project, which means mandated water retention and parking. As far as the referendums go, yes, at the time of the referendums, we did need both of those measures to pass in order for us to continue with the project. However, the village, the people that voted said, we want you to have a gym, but we're not going to give you a permanent tax increase on our bills. So that's what the residents decided. You can have your gym, but you can't have your taxes. Figure it out. Well, the Park District has figured it out, and we have the money to staff the gym and upgrade our facility, and that's the purpose of it. And as far as he was making the comment about the people shopping in the area, which was my comment, that's marketing 101, you know, and people do shop where they are. You can go talk to Andy's and ask them when we have a concert in the park, what's their increase in revenue? Ask Jewel how many people are coming in to buy stuff when there's soccer games at one of our fields. So yes, it does generate income to the village. It's just it's called convenience shopping. It's been studied and it's been proven. So I want to put that argument to rest too. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Bob.
Good evening, Michael Quitt, KWIT, last name Aldo. I would like to speak a lot about the Park District. Although I would like to speak about the Park District, I am a supporter of a lot of the public activities that are happening in the community, and I fully support a gymnasium. I have a background in the Park District, not with LaGrange Park, but with Chicago, and what gymnasium brings to the community is very enriching for all the kids around. It gives them time to participate in many activities during the winter months and hot summer days. If I may, I would like to make a public works request. Is that okay? For public works, I would like to request a stop sign at the intersection of Harding and Homestead. It is currently a pedestrian and school crossing, and many vehicles from heading eastbound from LaGrange Road to the train tracks are just going through and not paying attention to the pedestrians crossing that intersection. On August 18th, there was an accident at that same intersection due to a speeding vehicle heading westbound. And that intersection, especially for kids crossing to go to Barnesdale and Forest Road School, it's very dangerous. We just had an event 2 weeks ago, a welcome school event. We were returning back at like 5:30 in the evening. Actually, it was later than that. And me and my children are crossing the street, and the vehicle decided that they were just going to go straight through. So that was a close call. It's not that once there is a, once there's a crossing guard there, most people obey it, but also the two crossing guards that are there, Joe and Jim, they can even attest to it that some cars don't stop at that intersection. So I would like to urge to put that request in for a four-way stop sign at Harding and Homestead Road. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Anyone else care to address the board before we move on? Last chance. Okay, again, good evening, everyone. I want to thank you for joining us tonight. We are here to address an important issue that places our village and its board of trustees in a unique and challenging position. This matter has sparked considerable discussion, and understandably so, given its impact on our community. First, I want to recognize the invaluable work of the Community Park District. They are a valued partner, and their contributions to our community, particularly to our kids and families, is immeasurable. The Park District consistently goes above and beyond, and is clear with many of us and why a village like ours would be inclined to support their efforts. The proposition is so challenging because when it comes to TIF funding, we are guided by specific regulations and a clear purpose. TIFs, or tax increment financing districts, are established to promote economic development in targeted areas, and they come with strict guidelines. When the village first created the TIF, we set specific goals for how the funds would be used. The funding of a public building was not part of those goals. The Park District's current project was not contemplated when we established the TIF, nor was TIF funding considered when the Park District developed its project. Simply put, this was not part of the plan. Additionally, the village has a policy that does not consider tax-exempt projects for TIF funding. While the desire to support the Park District is strong and understandable, it's important to recognize that the village and the Park District are separate taxing bodies with all their own governance, autonomy, and responsibilities. We must respect these boundaries while making decisions that align with our policies. There's also a great deal of confusion surrounding this project, partly due to the recent referenda and the information that has been circulated. The request for TIF funding came well after the election, and our role is solely focused on managing the TIF funds according to the rules and the goals set by the village that we explained to our residents that we're abided to respect our residents. We had no involvement in the referenda, and our responsibility lies with the TIF. The bottom line is that if the village chooses to provide funding, we must remember that these funds are limited and allocated according to specific guidelines. That is why we have invited special counsel Kathy Orr this evening. She will provide an overview of TIFs, explain the governing rules, and highlight the intent behind the village's specific TIF. We believe that informed discussions are key to making progress, and we want to ensure that everyone fully grasps the context and considerations involved in this decision. That said, I believe that progress cannot happen without understanding, and right now there might be a need for more conversation about this project in our community. Regardless of how the vote goes tonight, it is important to acknowledge that this issue is complex and tugs at our hearts. The village must also stay true to the plan that we established in the TIF ordinance that we proposed to our residents. And any decision does not reflect how we feel about the Park District. It's about our responsibility to oversee the funds and ensure their proper use. It's not an easy decision because we generally want to help the Park District. As we move forward, let's remain committed to clear, respectful, and informed discussions. We are here to serve the entire community together, and we bring clarity and progress to our village. Thank you all for your attention. Let's work together. And at this point, I'm going to introduce Kathy Field Orr, our TIF attorney. A good friend of mine, and Kathy, as you're up. This is it.
You want me to stand?
Do you want to speak at the mic? Do you want me to sign it?
Kathy Orr, I've been an attorney in my 50th year of practicing law, and have been forced to get involved in tax increment financing because, unfortunately, it is one of two economic tools, and one that's used across the state. Why? Okay? Because all grants, et cetera, have been severely limited to us, primarily through the federal government. In the olden days, and I was there were funds that were, you can't hear it. So tax increment financing was established in 1977. How does it work? I assume you all know how it works, and because that is the crux of the problem when a tax-exempt property, and there was one mentioned tonight, when a tax-exempt property needs any kind of incentive, because what it is, when the TEF is established, the EAV, equalized assessed value of property, is determined. Over the years, if your property is improved, your EAV goes up, your taxes go up. So the difference between the start of the TIF and what it is as you make improvements create what they decide are incremental taxes. Those are given to the municipal treasurer for a very limited use. I don't know if any of you realize there must be annual reports made to the state comptroller, there must be audits, there must be meetings with all the taxing districts to explain specifically how these dollars are in fact expended. So it's not a piece of cake, and it's not an easy job, and it really is restrictive with regard to uses by the village. So I was here for both of our TIFs. When we developed both of our TIFs, I was here before that. It took 2 years for this board to really decide, I was here then too, for this board to decide whether or not it was an economic development tool that they should utilize. And I think they have utilized it well, very well. So let's go to the first in Barnesdale. When we established the TIF, there was a whole study done. What is needed? And the village board developed 5 goals in writing, a part of a redevelopment plan. And let's go through them. One of the goals, one of the most important goals, was to put money into capital improvements in order to leverage public resources to create more private investment. The more private investment, the more incremental dollars, the more you can incentivize more private investment. We were going to because it was a conservation area, and as one person mentioned, the purpose of TIF is to remove blight or potential blight. We wanted to develop we were going to, as a goal, develop vacant and underutilized property. And we've done it in both TIF. We've done it in Dubac. Somebody mentioned the new Aldi's. And so that property has been taken and has been, in fact, improved for better use with TIF dollars that are generated. It's been mentioned that this village has a pay-as-you-go. You know what? You want an incentive? Create a development, and we will give back to you some of the increment you generate. And that is the incentive that gets development going all over this state. Okay? We wanted to also repair maintenance and infrastructure in the commercial areas to the extent that would allow businesses to expand. Infrastructure is very, very, very important. But it's also important that the infrastructure and the improvements could, in fact, generate more revenue to incentivize more. It's kind of like a spiraling thing. The more development you have, the more dollars you have, the more dollars you have, the more improvements that you can make, and thereby increase the tax base of the village. We wanted to, even as one of our goals, to do landscaping. We've got to make the business area more attractive, streetscape. Most importantly, we need to use TIF dollars to create safety for pedestrians. That's a very important thing, as you know. If we're going to try to get business and get our local businesses, keep them busy and allow people to get there, we must do some serious work on our infrastructure to create pedestrian safety. We know we've got a grant. We got an IDOT grant for $180,000. And what we want to use this grant for is to study what, in fact, is needed structurally in this village that would incentivize and would allow expansions of businesses so that utilities are better available. Utilities, streets, streetscapes. We are also, and the whole goal in this was also to get the village board, and give the village board assets to allow it to follow through on your comprehensive plan. You did a comprehensive plan in 2006. You're not there, guys. We need more incentive and more work so that we can fulfill our comprehensive plan with regard to the development and improvements in this village. You also adopted a specific ordinance, and in that ordinance, you stated that but for use of TIF and incentives, the properties that were included with the TIF would most likely never improve. And quite frankly, our track record demonstrates that. The improvements that we have made, which are great, I mean, all these in and of itself is great. Dubac and their expansion, it's been great, and I've been fortunate to work with you to see those come to fruition. You can name them all right off. But that's the purpose of the TIF. And so it's not for me to determine which project is better. But as your TIF attorney, I have to remind you of what you did in 2017, what you determined you want to do, what your goals were. And so that's a priority, I would assume, of each and every one of you with regard to the use of the TIF dollars. But of course, it's always your decision. And if I have questions, I'll be glad to answer them. I don't.
Anybody? Trustee Langer?
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, Ms. Orr. Your expertise has always been invaluable to us, and appreciate all your assistance that you provided over the years. One of my first questions is, to make sure I understand, are we legally bound to not change some of the policies that we have built, or does this board have the opportunity to alter the policies that we have that stated the purpose of what these TIF were for?
You have the right to change a policy. That is not the law. The law is that you have to set up goals when you create a TIF and that you're limited in expenditures. When we say infrastructure, for example, and I believe the Park District said they want to use it for infrastructure, that's all infrastructure. However, the purpose of adopting the TIF was infrastructure to generate increment, to do more incentives. Our policy has been, which is one of the policies I respect so much about LaGrange, because not all towns are that way, I hate to tell you, is that all of your project were pay-as-you-go, so that when you did a project, you didn't get an incentive until you finished the project. You earned the incentive, and then you, ahead of, in an agreement, agreed to return a portion of it, never 100% of it. We've never done that, so that we can build up a kitty to be able to do other projects. So did that make sense of how it works? You enter into an agreement to give an incentive. The taxes are increased $100. The village will agree to share maybe 75% of it, so that the other $25 goes into a kitty to allow you to do the infrastructure and projects that you believe will benefit the commercial areas.
So in that regard, does the recipient, or is the recipient of the TIF funds required to, in the pay-as-you-go concept, required to take those funds from tax revenues generated, or can it be from grants, general fund?
We enter into the agreement. We have the money that's generated. We, as a municipality, we receive the money generated from the incremental taxes. We must determine if we usually enter into an agreement initially saying, as I said, we'd give them 75% of what they produce. But so I'm not clear. Could they receive a grant? We're not home rule, so it would depend on the grant, and it would depend on exactly the terminology, the purpose of using the grant, the purpose of sharing the grant. So grants come to us, they don't go to businesses.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Trustee Sheehan?
Thank you, Mr. President. So, Kathy, help me out on this. If the $750,000, that part of the deal for the Park District was the Metropolitan Sanitary District, the water improvement for that area, could Park be funded that way? Would that fit in the TIF?
It would be infrastructure, yes.
Because that would benefit both that area, which would stop that area from flooding, and could also back up north 31st, where next year we'll be working on improvements. So that would be part, that could be part.
Right, but if the village was doing an improvement of that infrastructure, hopefully it would benefit even the Park District.
Right. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, President DeCipio.
Go ahead, Trustee Council.
Thank you. With regard to infrastructure improvements, if they specifically have infrastructure improvements that are made on their property, is that allowed?
It is allowed.
Okay.
The only thing it violates is our policy that it's pay-as-you-go, that we normally do it with funds or funds generated from other projects. That's all.
Thank you.
We also, I have to mention, when we developed the TIF, we did set up a budget. We can get that to you and distribute it to you. And the TIF absolutely allows reimbursement of other taxing districts to the extent the TIF itself has caused the expense. So it's cost incurred by a taxing district as a direct result of the TIF. For example, in order to do infrastructure, we have to move the parking lot for the Park District, and it's a very big inconvenience, and it's all because of some development the village has done. We could replace that. We had in our budget set aside $50,000 in our budget for the TIF over the life of the TIF to assist districts when we caused their inconvenience. We never want to cause any taxing district an extra cost. School districts by the TIF Act actually are entitled to a distribution if the TIF results in children living there and the school would not get any tax dollars. But that would pertain to all the taxing districts if we created a need because of our development.
I just have a clarification to the question that Trustee Lautner asked. I thought I understood his question to have said, what if the Park District gets a grant?
It's their money.
But doesn't that decrease the eligible funds for which we can reimburse them under the TIF Act?
Depends on what they use it for.
But if they got a grant to do something that was specifically
Absolutely.
a category of
Yeah.
expense that they came to us and we approved tonight or some other night, if they get the grant from the state of Illinois or MWRD or something, they've already gotten paid for that.
Well,
Correct?
that's another issue with the Park District, and that you'd have to work that out should you decide. Our policy is you don't get reimbursement until the project is finished so that we are assured it will generate increment. So what you're now asking, and I wasn't going to get into funding the Park District, but that's another question, is what about our policy about not giving any incentives until the projects are complete, so that we are assured that they have, in the agreement, they've got to make sure that they do the project in accordance with all of the determinations made by the village, all the permits. They have to operate while it's the project while we're funding it, otherwise it's over. We have all kinds of restrictions on when they get the money, how they get the money. The reality is, with the pay-as-you-go, they produce a certain amount, 3% every year, so that these projects go on for a number of years, and so the businesses are forced to work with the village in order to get that year's incentive paid, or that portion, an annual incentive, because usually it's payable over a number of years.
Trustee Council?
Thank you, President DeCipio. It perked my ears up to hear you say that if we caused the TIF to react with the Park District, I am saying the word react, if we caused the TIF, then by virtue of that happening, were they ever questioned if they wanted to be a part of that TIF, or could that not be done?
The decision on the boundaries of the TIF was strictly, if you know what the map looks like, was merely to have contiguity with the properties. The fact that the Park District was there was a good thing. If, for example, we did a development that created a problem for them, limited their parking, created some barrier for getting to another portion of their property, we would, as a TIF, be authorized to reimburse them for that, for the problem we caused.
Any other comments? Trustee Caputo? Trustee Lautner?
Thank you, Mr. President. Maybe a question for staff, a little discussion on, in the event that the board would decide to allocate some TIF funds. Obviously, we have a budget and we have a plan. Without getting into specific numbers, I'd be interested in maybe a general comment or two relative to the impact to things that we have on the table planned already, and what kind of impact. And obviously that will vary on how much the board would decide to allocate if we did. but some commentary on potential impact. And I know that there is a potential motion that will be forthcoming that has some ideas on how we might proceed with that, should we decide to do that. But any comments that staff could offer along those lines of the impact of that?
I can respond to that, Trustee Lautner. So the impact, so why don't we start with funding that we currently have available. That is listed in the memo that's included in your packet, and that packet is available online. So that's public information. So that information is there in terms of the funding that we have available, how we anticipate that we'll finish the budget year. What we anticipate that this particular TIF district will receive in annual funding at this time, and there's always some risk to what we anticipate to receive because people can file for tax appeals, and there can be impacts to that increment that's paid to the village. But what we anticipate is about $700,000 a year. So that's what we have available. We are in the process of working with IDOT to finalize the grant agreement, which will allow us to do a full assessment of the 31st Street corridor that includes Barnsdale Road. So this is the study area is the full TIF area and more. So we're looking at this area to determine all of the things that Kathy Orr mentioned in her presentation, probably most prominently focused on pedestrian and traffic safety. There's a number of issues. It's very difficult to cross the street. A lot of the work that we did at the Village Market, we're going to be doing here. So when that project is done, we're going to have to be ready to complete those projects, and it's going to be significant. To know the full extent of the work that we need to do for the capital infrastructure is unknown at this time, but it will be comprehensive. And to be able to move forward, we need to have money in the bank, so we need to be saving for that. So to answer your question, to what impact? Well, any funds that we provide to a party where there is no revenue or increment generated as a part of this, it doesn't get replenished. So once it's spent, it's gone forever. So any money that we spend will be money that we can't replace, and it will go against the funding that is available for other incentive agreements for other developments, whether it's Praxair, whether it's the property north or south of the Park District to be able to make improvements there, or whether it's to make the improvements, the public improvements that we're talking about, that where we're going to be working with IDOT to come up with the list of priorities to improve the public infrastructure, right? So when we look to what we use this money for, we look to the policy that we have, we look at the objectives stated in the redevelopment plan for this district. We also, of course, look to the TIF Act, and we look to the priorities that we establish in the objectives. And so, so the impacts will be, if it's 243,000, it's about, it's about a half a year. So there's a delay until it can be replenished, right? So the more money that we spend that is gone from our plate, that is the money that we will not have available to proceed forward with the public improvements, or will be less funding that's available should there be a project to incentivize. I hope that answers your question. Did that answer your question?
It does.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you.
Any other questions for Kathy Orr? Thank you, Kathy. Okay, now I'm going to move 19C2 up. Trustee Stewart.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, Kathy Orr. Community Park District request for TIF funding. General background, tax increment financing. TIF is a tool used by municipalities to spur economic development in areas experiencing decline and underdevelopment. In 1917, the village of Grange Park established 2 conservation TIF districts around 31st Street and Barnsdale Road, and in the Village Market to address signs of deterioration and stimulate growth without raising taxes. When a TIF district is created, property tax revenue is frozen for 23 years, and as property values rise, the additional revenue or increment is reinvested in the district to fund improvements. In LaGrange Park, the TIF funded projects like Dubac Electric, Postal 31, Plaza 31, and Aldi have significantly contributed to the revitalization of these districts. The Community Park District of LaGrange Park has submitted a request for TIF funding from the 31st Street Barnesdale TIF District to help finance the expansion and improvement of its recreational center at 1501 Barnesdale Road. The total project costs are estimated at $14 million and will primarily be funded through a $10.7 million referendum approved by LaGrange Park voters, in 2023, and additional capital contributions from the Park District. To support the project, the Park District is requesting $2.8 million in TIF funding. The Village Board initially discussed this request at the July 23rd Village Board meeting, where there was some support for providing a portion of the requested funding, so long as it was financially feasible and did not conflict with the village's priorities for revitalization of 31st Street corridor. This agenda item continues on that discussion. Village TIF policy. The village's TIF policy ensures that TIF funds are used responsibly to support development, expand the tax base, enhance public infrastructure, and promote business growth. TIF funds are not intended as grants, but as partial repayments for eligible redevelopment costs based on the increment generated by the project. To qualify for assistance, projects must demonstrate financial feasibility, site control, and sufficient financing, ensuring that both the developer and the business, the village, benefit sustainably. A key requirement for receiving TIF assistance is that the project must show financial feasibility and allow the village to recover its investment through incremental tax revenues over time. Since the Park District is tax exempt, its project will not generate any incremental tax revenue in the TIF district. Therefore, the pay-as-you-go funding model cannot be applied, and the project does not meet this qualification. If the village does make an exception, any funds provided to the Park District will need to come from resources set aside for the village's revitalization efforts in the TIF district. Other factors for consideration include the Park District's experience in managing public recreational facilities and its control of the site. Additionally, the Park District has demonstrated its commitment and financial capability by securing substantial funding through a public referendum. While the Recreation Center project will benefit the community, it is less aligned with the 31st Street Barnesdale redevelopment plan, which focuses on commercial revitalization and tax-generating investments in the TIF district, and allocating TIF funds for the project will reduce the village's ability to pursue essential infrastructure projects more closely aligned with the TIF district's objectives. Impact on planned public improvements. The village recently received a $180,000 grant from IDOC to conduct a comprehensive planning study for the 31st Street corridor. This study will focus on transportation and streetscape improvements using community input and traffic safety data to develop recommendations aimed at revitalizing the area, improving pedestrian safety, and enhancing overall accessibility. Anticipating the results of the study, the village needs to build and reserve TIF funds to ensure that it will swiftly move forward with the engineering and implementation of these improvements. Diverting a portion of TIF funds to the Park District's recreational center at this time could jeopardize the village's ability to finance these essential infrastructure upgrades, potentially delaying the revitalization of the 31st Street corridor and efforts to attract new businesses and enhance the area's economic growth. In conclusion, the request from the Park District presents a unique situation for the village due to the tax-exempt status of the district and the limitations of the pay-as-you-go TIF funding policy. Staff recommends that the Village Board consider the TIF funding for the Park District's request, keeping in mind the broader goals of the TIF district and the need to maintain sufficient funds for planned public improvements. The following points are included for consideration. Eligible cost. New construction is not eligible for TIF funds. The eligible costs for this project are limited to site demolition, storm trap system, stormwater management, concrete walls, parking lot, and irrigation. The cost of this is estimated to be $1.35 million. Impact on public improvement projects. The village recently received notification of a statewide planning and research program grant from IDOT to conduct a study that will define the scope of necessary public improvements in the 31st Street Barnesdale TIF district. The village anticipates needing sufficient funding to begin and complete these improvements. Policy adherence and fiscal responsibility. While the project does not meet the qualifications of the TIF policy, the board may want to consider funding the park district as a set level consistent with the village's practice of contributing a percentage of eligible costs. Long-term benefits to the community. The village's strategic goals for its TIF districts include revitalizing conservation areas to prevent blight, enhancing public infrastructure, and fostering economic growth. While the recreation center expansion is an important community asset, the village must consider whether diverting funds from other public improvement projects serves the broader goals of the TIF district and the community as a whole. Fund balance. The 31st Street Barnesdale TIF district fund balance was $1.97 million at the start of the current fiscal year. This year's budget is anticipated $518,000 in revenue and $490,000 in costs, including $372,000 for the village's Green Alley project. The district is currently projected to end its fiscal year with a fund balance of $2.59 million due to increased TIF increment and favorable project pricing. Partial funding consideration. Although the Park District's Recreation Center project does not meet the qualifications of the TIF district under the village's policy, the board may consider providing an incentive consistent with redevelopment agreements funded by the TIF district. The village could offer a set incentive amount based on 18% of the cost eligible under the TIF Act. Upon evaluating the project, approximately $1.35 million of the itemized costs qualify under the TIF Act, making the 18% contribution equivalent to $243,000. Motion and action requested. This item is for discussion and action. The village board should review the material and consider the following motion related to the allocation of TIF funds for the Community Park District of LaGrange Parks Recreation Center Expansion Project. Motion to direct staff to draft a redevelopment agreement for providing funding for the expansion and improvement of the Community Park District of LaGrange Park Recreation Center located at 1501 Barnesdale Road in an amount not to exceed $243,000.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion. Trustee Stewart?
Hey, well, first I want to say that Jessica and team, you all have done a fantastic job maintaining our parks, and you've done a great service for the community. I do second Kathy Field-Orr's sentiments on not allowing TIF-directed funds for these efforts. I think I speak for the entire board that we would love to see a redeveloped recreation center. But I don't think that the village has the funds to contribute to the effort at this time. From a practicality perspective, initially the Park District requested $2.8 million to take this redevelopment to the finish line. We're only able to give them $243,000 per this memo, which is about 8% of what they're actually needing for this project. So us doing this is merely an act of it's a gesture of good faith, right? And I don't know if that's worth us potentially having to deprioritize things that we already have set in motion and that we promised to the residents. So I do think it's worth revisiting in the future, and I think that that's going to require more swaying of the public. And I do wish the Park District luck on this project, and I do hope it somehow gets through. But from the village perspective, I don't see how we have any funds to help out at this moment. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Stewart. Trustee Council?
Thank you, President DeCipio. In light of the conversation that we've had tonight with our TIF attorney, I do feel that $243,000 out of a TIF fund is not monumental, and this project is meritorious in and of the fact that there have been so many boards that have tried to get a referendum passed for the Park District, and it's gotten so close with a vote, and if memory serves me correct, you were one of the members of the board when the Park District was pursuing a referendum. And to be perfectly honest with you, the conversation that I have had with Village Manager Cedillo, it seemed to me that she felt we could recoup this somehow, and that it would not be insurmountable for us to recoup. And I think that that's one of the reasons that this dollar amount was plugged in for this consideration. It's basically 18% of allowable projects that can be done with this. It's 18% of the cost of infrastructure improvements. And basically, my understanding is 18% of infrastructure improvements, even though they're not a taxing body, it's not only a goodwill gesture, it's something that we can actually do, and it won't impact the village as much as people may think that it would impact. So I would be in support of giving the Park District the amount of $243,000 and wish them good luck with their project. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Council. Trustee Caputo?
Yes, thank you, President DeCipio. It's a tough call, obviously, for everybody. We're not going to be able to make everybody happy here, as we all know. But listening to everybody's comments, both opposing and for this, you know, being a resident here for 22 years, having kids, wanting our neighborhood to keep expanding and bringing families to a community, I kind of feel like we need to do something like this. I'd rather see people in our community stay and, you know, do programs in our community versus going to Brookfield, the Grange, Western Springs, Riverside. I'd love to see our kids and our families get to have a facility that's going to benefit our town. Maybe give us more notoriety, maybe get more families coming and wanting to move to our town in that. So, you know, I know from what I've experienced and heard by how some of this TIF money is working, I kind of feel like this exception to the rule is for a good purpose. And I feel like the amount, like the trustee council said, it's not a huge amount. And if you guys could accept that kind of amount, both the people from the Park District as well as the residents that really aren't in a favor for that. I'm not one for wanting our taxes to go up too, but if we could somehow use this minimal amount that's not gonna maybe hurt our town, but could help, you know, along the way, I would probably be in favor for you know, giving this nominal amount and try to hopefully make the community happy as a win-win for everybody. That's all.
Thank you, Trustee Caputo.
Thank you.
Trustee Zora?
Thank you, Mr. President. I wanted to say that I am in support of the new renovation and addition of the Park District building. I'm one of the many residents that utilizes other resources in the Grange, Western Springs, and Oak Brook Park Districts because we don't have the options here. The Park District is dedicated to this community and does a wonderful job here. I would like to help the Park District But at this time, we don't have hard bid numbers, so it's hard for me to dedicate funds to something that I don't have tangible numbers for. The village also has many commitments that we discussed tonight. Our streetscape program, alley improvements, and assisting local businesses are all part of our TIF improvements. At this time, I do not believe this is the right time to provide funding, but in the future, I would be open to assisting in specific costs and not providing a monetary amount, but assisting with potentially stormwater management or other infrastructure as we discussed tonight. I will happily use the new renovation and addition when it is done, and I look forward to it, and so does my family. I have no doubt that this building will be utilized by this community. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Zora. Trustee Sheehan?
Thank you, Mr. President. I echo Trustee Zora's opinion myself. I do have a question that if this was to pass tonight, maybe I can direct this towards staff or maybe Kathy, Ms. Orr. So if the $243,000 is approved tonight, however, the project never becomes shovel ready, what happens to the funds? They're never, they just won't be. Either one, whoever wants to chirp in.
Could you ask that question again?
So if we approve,
if you approve it,
tonight for
right?
$243,000, and worst case scenario is the project never makes shovel ready, never breaks ground for the completion. They don't come up with the funding or whatever. Basically, we don't put up the money until the project is a go. Correct?
Well, correct. With this motion, it would direct staff to develop a redevelopment agreement, I suppose, that or an ordinance. And within that agreement or the ordinance, this motion calls for an agreement. It would define the specific terms with which the funds would get paid. And so to the extent that we could make this performance-based, in other words, tie the funding to the work that's going to be done to minimize any risk to the village, which is what the goal of the redevelopment agreements is. It's to reduce the risk of the investment. That is what we would do. So we would work with Kathy Orr to develop an agreement to on how those funds would be provided to the Park District to ensure that the project went through and it was tied to the payment. And I see that Kathy wants to talk.
One of the policies that we have had, and it would pertain even with the amount, is that we use TIF as a reimbursement, so that unlike it's not a grant, so that we have assurance that we've met the law. So if they're going to use it, they must use it for TIF eligible. They must show you the receipt that at least $243,000 was used for TIF eligible before it can be paid. So that in terms of security, it would only, until they do the project, the security would only be our agreement to pay once that portion of the project is done.
Okay, and there wouldn't be, like, again, worst case scenario, if it doesn't get done, there wouldn't be an expiration date on the
there will be an expiration date, because we have to reapply those funds if they can't use them. So you would definitely want an expiration date, as we do in even for private investment. It's like you got to get your permits by a certain date, your plan, your permits, or kaput.
Okay, and then again, you mentioned earlier, if we do approve the $243,000 tonight, that would push 31st redevelopment issues at least 6 months.
Yes, any funding that is less available for our project would cause delays in completing whatever work. There's either less funding, so we have to prioritize which work is to get done, but that's what it's about, because it replenishes at a certain rate, and this doesn't regenerate itself.
Okay, thank you both. Thank you, Mr. President. That's all I have.
Thank you, Trustee Sheehan. Trustee Lautner.
Thank you, Mr. President. First of all, I'd like to express appreciation to everyone that has spent the time and effort to put their thoughts together, sending us correspondence, coming in, expressing their opinions. Those are all very helpful, and I know it's been said several times, but I would like to reiterate that. several of you made reference to your longevity here in the village. And as a 46-year resident here, been involved in and a strong supporter of our park district for many years on that board, as well as others on this board that were there as well. And in fact, directly involved in the building of that building that we have there, with anticipation and hopes of someday being able to have a gymnasium and a stage and all the things that our terrific park board and leadership has put forth, and I think they are doing a terrific job for the community. That said, I'm having a hard time come to the conclusion that we can justify the funds. We've spent a lot of time and a lot of effort determining the policies and determining what we need to return to this village in the form of TIF funding and business development funds that get generated. And I think that we owe it to this community to come through with that promise that was made. That's a hard decision for me to, or a hard opinion for me to come to at this point. I think I'm going to echo Trustee Stewart's comments in that at this point, and Trustee Zara, that at this point, I'm not comfortable with allocating the funds for this purpose. That doesn't mean that I don't support the project. I, in fact, voted yes on both of those referenda. And I think it will be built and should be built and should be offered. I would hope that there will be maybe potentially other sources that the Park District looks at for closing the gap and proceeding with some of these some of the plans that they have. You know, there's benefactors. There's knocking on doors that I heard a couple individuals espouse that they've got excellent skills and experience doing that. And I think those are some of the things that can help build what we all agree will be a benefit to this community. So at this point, I can't support allocation of funds at this point. But I do encourage the Park District to look at other resources, other ways in which to close that gap. There's a lot of people that are well off in this community. There's a lot of people that aren't as well off, and I think given the amount of interest, the referendum was approved for a building. There's obviously support and interest and need. And as I heard President Cordy make reference, the issue about operating, the Park District has made a valiant effort to close that gap. I'm comfortable that that's going to be a positive aspect of this. And so looking at different ways in which to generate the funds beyond what's been promised already, I think is maybe a better way to pursue it. And just to comment also on some of the younger individuals that did a terrific job of expressing their need and their interest. And I don't know what's occurred with Park Junior High and why that facility is not available. That's for them to run. But there's a lot of other facilities in this community or nearby that I would encourage you to pursue. Plymouth Place, some of the churches, places like that, I think would love to have that venue. And I know there's always questions, does it have the equipment that you need and the availability for practices and things of that nature. But I guess my summary of all that is I'm not comfortable in allocating the funds at this point, but I encourage the park board to and the Park District to proceed in trying to close those gaps with other sources, benefactors, knocking on doors, that I may very well even be willing to participate in some of that. But that's where I am, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Lautner. So here we are. I served on the park board for 2 terms. Trustee Lautner started his political career on the park board. We're very indebted to you. And Jessica, you do a great job with the park district. And Dr. Cordy and your staff and the staff of the park district We love our park district. I'm struggling, and this is not personal, but I'm struggling with the fact that we've worked very hard in this village to gain the trust of our community. We went for 2 referendums many years ago. They both passed at the same time by 75%. That's unheard of. But it took hard work to get there to gain the trust of the residents that we provide services to. I'm struggling with the fact that nobody has commented on the fact that you said no and you've changed your mind. And now your board may have changed their mind, but it was never educated or brought out to the public that I'm aware of why you said no and now you're changing it to yes, and given good explanation for it. But we serve the residents of this village, and as many want the Park District building to proceed, there's a lot that don't want to for the reasons they've explained with taxes and being run out of their home because they can't afford it anymore. We have to be very crucial in how we dispense of village funds here, and we are the stewards of the village funds. So anything we give you, we have to be very careful. Our I's are dotted and the T's are crossed, because we don't want to get in a position where our trust is being questioned. Again, we've worked very hard to gain the trust of our residents, because what we do is what we say, or what we say is what we do. If we veer for it, we put information out there and why we've changed course and get resident input on that. I just think there needs, I don't think the climate is ready yet. I'm all in support of giving you guys funds. If our TIF attorney says we're allowed to do that for specific instances, I'm all for generating more income for you guys to get your gym built. I'd like to see a workout facility involved with that, which was going to be lacking when you invest in your gym building. As someone had mentioned, it's going to be a gym with a running track and for social activities, but there's no workout facility for people to work out in. So I think I was the chairman of the 2 failed referendum that the community rejected. The first one by 9 votes, the second one by 22 votes. We were close, we were very close, but something was lacking. And what was lacking was the trust with the community. They didn't feel there was a need at that point, times were tough, so we dropped it. Years later, the Park District comes forward and builds the building. Now, unfortunately, the resources that were available at that time didn't provide a gym or a workout facility or a lot of the amenities that the other communities have in their gymnasium. So we did it piecework. We put the gym up, we put the building up. Now we're looking at putting the gym up. And maybe the third would be a workout facility. So it takes timing, it takes patience, it takes getting the information out there correctly, and then it takes honesty to respond to the criticism of why you're doing it. I respect our residents. I know how hard it is to be in LaGrange Park right now, because our costs are going up too as a village. You look at the costs of our homes that are selling in our community. We're limiting any new graduates or people that have new jobs to come to our village because they can't afford a $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 home. We've got $1 million homes in our community now. So we've got to be careful. We're not asking for too much, but my main concern here is I'm supporting what you're doing, and I'm willing to give you money at the appropriate time. What I'd like to see is maybe some bonding with the community to explain why you guys changed your mind at that point, which is probably very justified, but it wasn't given to the people that you said no to when the referendum questions came up. I would be fearful, because we don't want residents coming in here banging on our doors saying they don't trust what we're doing. And I think that needs to be cleared up and at least explain to the residents why you guys changed what you did when you so adamantly went to, and I have a perfect, I don't know who the advice you got from, but if you would have just said, if one referendum doesn't pass, we need to look for alternate funding. Case closed. You wouldn't have had gone back on your word. And I don't know how much time you put between when they say no and when you do it. I'm not that smart to think that way. But all I do know is that once you lose trust in your community, it takes it really hard to get it back. You guys have the potential to get it back. You're doing the right thing. It's just that I'm not comfortable saying yes to this at this point because of the elephant that's in the room. And when the emails that I get from the residents saying, they told us no, and we didn't hear any reason why they changed their mind, but they changed their mind, and as Cheryl said, it's a democracy. We vote. We vote for a purpose to make a decision. And it goes up or down. And whatever side you're on, you gotta live with that. So I just encourage you to reach your hand out, both hands out, to the residents that are uncomfortable with where the direction you guys are headed, because you did tell them no on both questions. Now, there's a legitimate reason why you changed it. You need to explain that to the residents. It's gonna take time. You may not get this going for a year or two, maybe, I don't know. But the residents have a right to decide what goes in their community. And I respect that, because I wouldn't be in this position for 20 years if I didn't gain the respect of the residents by doing the right thing and what our staff does and what our board does. And we're very proud of what we do, and you guys are proud of what you do too, and you're doing some great things. But I just wish the climate was better and you guys could get the clouds away and get some sunshine back. Megan, call the roll.
Trustee Lautner?
No.
Trustee Zora?
No.
Trustee Council?
Yes.
Trustee Sheehan?
No.
Trustee Stewart?
No.
Trustee Caputo?
Yes.
The motion fails by a vote of 4-2, Mr. President.
Thank you, Megan. Thank you all for coming tonight. Julia,
Well, I don't have to do an agreement.
that's for you.
Thought I would. As much as I love you, but I will be back because we have to finish up our code.
New resident, first meeting. Sure, very interesting. Thanks for coming out. Thank you. Thank you, Kathy.
I was unsure. I understand.
Chief, why are they going back in there?
Huh?
Where are they going back in?
I have no idea. Where's Ted?
Okay, moving on. Consent agenda.
The items on this evening's consent agenda are as follows. A, approval of minutes. 1, Village Board Special Meeting, August 27th, 2024. 2, Village Board Meeting, August 27th, 2024. 3, Village Board Closed Session Meeting, August 27th, 2024. 4, Village Board Work Session, September 10th, 2024. B, action, accounts payable and payroll summary, motion 1, to authorize the President and Chairperson of the Finance Committee to sign the register for bills, and authorize the Treasurer and Village Clerk to sign checks in payment of operating bills and salaries as itemized in the check registers, and motion 2, to authorize the Village Treasurer and Village Clerk to sign checks in the payment of payroll and other bills that become due between this date and the next Village Board meeting with subsequent approval of the payroll register and voucher register by the Board of Trustees at its next meeting.
Motion to approve?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, up next, we have Village Manager's Report. Julia?
Thank you, Mr. President. I have just a couple of things to report on this evening. The first, I just wanted to comment on, for the record, that the ILEAP presentation of the award was included on our agenda. That won't be taking place this evening because the executive director was unable to be here this evening, and we certainly send our thanks, and we will work with him to arrange another time where we can accept that award. for the accreditation of the police department, something we're very proud of and took a long time to work on. The second item I wanted to mention was also regarding the police department, and just this last weekend, the police department held its burger bash over at Post 031. It was a very successful event with a lot of folks from the community in attendance, and just wanted to extend our appreciation to Post 031 for once again hosting that event. It was a lot of fun. And the last item I wanted to report on is just a reminder of this weekend's fire department open house. It will be taking place at Fire Station 1 from 10 to 1 on Saturday. And with that, that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Julia. Okay, moving on to Administration Committee, Trustee Council. She's not here. We'll move on to Building and Zoning Committee, Trustee Zora.
Mr. President, I'd like to report the building department activities for August 2024. 85 building permits were issued in August 2024 compared to 97 in 2023. As of August, the pace of permit submittals year to date is slightly less than the pace of submittals last year. Estimated construction costs for last month were just over $1.8 million, which is considerably less than the $11,739,000 that was realized in August 2023. Permit fees collected last month equal $30,751, which is considerably less than the $146,504 permit fees collected in August 2023. The large year-over-year swings in both construction costs and permit fees can be attributed to the new Aldi, new store permit, and Nazareth athletic field that were active at this time last year. 148 building inspections were conducted this past month compared to 198 in 2023. 2 were not approved. 13 new code enforcement cases were recorded. 3 of those projects were closed out, and the remaining 10 required further code enforcement action. And I have one item for discussion and action. Woodman of the World Life Insurance Society is the applicant requesting to re-subdivide the shopping center of 507 East Woodlawn Avenue to create a 3-lot subdivision for the existing dual Osco grocery store and 2 outlots. The subject property is located in the C2 commercial district and is bounded by Oak Avenue to the north, single-family homes to the east, Sherwood to the west, and Woodlawn Avenue to the south. The property is approximately 6.4 acres and is improved with a 46,637 square foot building, which is Jewel, an 11,500 square foot building, which is the vacant Fifth Third Bank, and surface parking lots in order to better serve the existing grocer tenant that facilitates redevelopment of the outlot areas. The applicant has submitted an application for re-subdivision to re-subdivide the land into 3 lots. The village has no subdivision requirements other than its bulk requirements, which is minimum lot size. In order to be approved, the plan of re-subdivision must meet all zoning requirements of the village's municipal code and comply with the technical requirements of the State of Illinois Plat Act. The applicant's proposed re-subdivision plat meets all the village bulk requirements and fully complies with the requirement of the Illinois Plat Act. The Planning and Zoning Commission recommends approval of the re-subdivision by a vote of 6-0 on September 17, 2024. Staff also recommends Planning and Zoning's vote. I would like to make a motion to approve an ordinance approving the Jewel Grange Park re-subdivision for 507 East Woodlawn Avenue, case number 24-0004.
Second.
Thank you.
Discussion, Trustee Zora.
Thank you. As I understand this is just a formality to clean up the property, and I see no reason why we would not vote for this.
Thank you. Any other comments from the board? Seeing none, Megan, call the roll.
Trustee Lautner?
Yes.
Trustee Zora?
Yes.
Trustee Council?
Yes.
Trustee Sheehan?
Yes.
Trustee Stewart?
Yes.
Trustee Caputo?
Yes.
The motion passes unanimously, Mr. President.
Thank you, Megan. Engineering Capital Projects, Trustee Stewart.
Thank you, Mr. President. Construction continued on the Edgewood and Richmond water main project. Construction continued on the Edgewood and Richmond water main project. Unique Plumbing has installed all water mains and transferred all water services onto the new water main. Restoration of sidewalk and driveways was completed and placement of sod was anticipated after Labor Day. The work is on schedule and is anticipated to be completed within the time allowed in the contract. The construction of the MWRD Green Infrastructure Alley project is substantially complete with the punch list and sod replacement remaining to be done. The project reduces about 40,000 gallons of stormwater runoff from entering the village combined sewer system. It is anticipated that the work will be completed by the end of September. The bid opening for Park Road Improvement Project was held on August 8th, 2024, with a low bidder being J. Narduli Construction. This work will improve the 500 block of Park Road. The projected project schedule has work beginning in September and being completed by mid-November of this year. The bid opening for the 2024 pavement patching program was held on August 29th, 2024, with the low bidder being Schroeder Asphalt Services. The work includes pavement patching at various locations throughout the village. The projected project schedule has work beginning in October and being completed by mid-November of this year. A bid opening for the 2024 sidewalk program is scheduled for September 5th, 2024 at 10 a.m. And that concludes my report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Trustee Stewart. Public Safety Committee, Trustee Caputo.
Yes, thank you, President DeCipio. This is the Police Department summary of activity for August 2024. The total number of crimes this year are significantly lower than last year at this time, with 153 reported this year compared to 214 last year. Traffic enforcement is 3,359 total tickets issued through August of 2024. Overall police activity for the month of August 2024 is 914 incidents. Of those 914 total incidents, 39 were assists to the fire department, 203 were self-initiated building or park checks, 103 were traffic stops, 17 were school district fingerprintings, and 46 were closed home checks. Deputy Chief Strezzo, Commander Morocco, and Chief Contos attended the Illinois Association of Chiefs of Police Midwest Training Expo. The police department hired Matthew Pickney, who has begun the police academy. We welcome Matt to the team. Department members completed their required Lexipol daily training bulletins and Police Law Institute training throughout the month of August 2024. On August 6th, the PD held an annual National Night Out event in conjunction with other LTACC communities in Western Springs. It was a very well attended event and fun for all. The police chief attended the annual Lyons Township High School articulation breakfast with neighboring police and fire chiefs, and a significant amount of time had been and is currently being spent on revisions to the municipal code as it relates to administrative adjudication. On Saturday, October 26th, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. in the lobby of the LaGrange Park Village Hall, the police department, in coordination with the DEA, will host a drug take-back event. Residents can discard expired prescriptions over-the-counter medication by placing the pills into baggies and disposing them into an approved container located in the lobby of the Village Hall. Reminder: no needles, pill bottles, or liquids will be accepted. I'm going to move on to the fire department report. EMS incidents this month, 152. There have been 1,262 year-to-date compared to 1,241 year-to-date in 2023. Fire rescue incidents this month were 65. There have been 437 year-to-date compared to 375 year-to-date in 2023. UL conducted annual inspection and testing of our ladder truck and all fire apparatus fire pumps. UL conducted biannual testing of all our underground ladders carried on apparatus. We welcomed Kelly Rafferty as our new part-time fire department administrative staff. Several of our personnel participated in acquired structured training in Hinsdale using a multi-story building near the hospital complex, which is scheduled for demolition. The fire department began providing EMS coverage again for this year's Nazareth varsity football games. Personnel participated in the Westmont Cruising Nights Fire Truck Night and the Ogden School Back to School Bash. They also participated in the National Nights Out event in Western Springs, the Police Department Special Olympics Car Show, and the FOP Special Olympics Golf Outing. We welcomed Adania Escarigo Danny as the new PSI paramedic to our department. The fire chief attended the Internal Fire Chiefs Fire Rescue International Conference, and the fire department Foundation Board held a special meeting to vote to appoint a new director, Bill Drake, to take Norm Rick's place. They also voted to appoint Ken Marciniak to be the secretary. I have two quick incidents of interest. On Saturday, August 24th at 9:59 a.m., the fire department responded to a minor garage fire at 1513 Forest. The home was for sale and the fire occurred during a realtor showing. A fire extinguisher was used to put out the fire before it spread, and the fire was caused by a bird's nest in contact with halogen light bulbs. The last incident on Friday, August 30th at 1 p.m., fire department responded to a vehicle crash at 31st and Maple involving a car and truck. Personnel used hydraulic rescue tools to remove the heavily damaged driver's door to safely extricate the victim from the car. I have one item for the agenda. This is regarding the Village Hall Administration side removal. Included in the fiscal year 2025 budget under accounts 300-200-82000, comma 500-200-82000 and 510-20-82000 is $235,000 for the basement expansion and remodeling of the Village Hall administrative side, in particular new flooring, paint, and ceiling grid and tiles. Understanding that the basement expansion will not be taking place within this fiscal year, the staff would like to reallocate those funds to complete the above work in the current administrative work areas. The staff recently met with FH Passion, who holds the state contract, as well as recently completed the work to the village boardroom, the administrative assistant of the police services office, and the police department records office. All of FH Passion's prior work was completed on time and most importantly within budget. FH Passion provided me with an attached proposal on the scope of work. The recommendation is this item is for discussion and action. The staff recommends entering into an agreement with FH Passion in the amount of $79,250 to complete the remodeling of the Village Hall administrative offices. Additional information is provided in the attached documentation, and staff can provide additional information during the meeting. The motion is to approve the proposal from FH Passion for $79,250, and second, to authorize the village manager to execute the necessary documents.
Motion, do you have a second? Second. Motion and second, discussion? Trustee Caputo?
Well, a couple things, yes, thank you, President DeCipio. We see that FH Passion has a good track record with us. They stay within budget, they do work in a timely fashion. These are items we know we're running out of space within the village to work and do things efficiently, so I think any improvements that we can make to make the work environment better and easier, maybe with staff, and as we expand to need additional staff, I think is an important necessity for us. So I would be in favor of this authorization.
Any other comments from the board? Trustee Wagner?
Thank you, Mr. President. Just to clarify, this isn't a reallocation. This was budgeted. Right, so we're not reallocating anything. This was budgeted as part of the 235 originally. I mean, I know it's semantics, but.
So in looking at the costs that we have included in this work, I think some of it is reallocated. I think the ceiling tiles were not anticipated. So the ceiling tiles would be replaced in the administration portions of the village to match what we currently have. The new flooring was anticipated and included. And the paint is a reallocation.
Those weren't part of the original budget, so that's being reallocated. Okay, very.
So it's not perfectly aligned, but the more that we were looking at the work to be done, we thought that the ceiling tile, which is original to the building from 1976, in its current sagging condition, probably could use to be replaced along with the new flooring and the new paint.
So
but the flooring was
budget,
included.
Of course, we'll have cost increases.
Mm-hmm.
Some of these things will already have been picked up. I understand.
Yeah, some of them will be.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Any other comments from the board? Seeing none, Megan, call the roll.
Trustee Lautner?
Yes.
Trustee Czar?
Yes.
Trustee Council?
Yes.
Trustee Sheehan?
Yes.
Trustee Stewart?
Yes.
Trustee Caputo?
Yes.
The motion passes unanimously, Mr. President.
Thank you, Megan. Thank you, Trustee Caputo.
Thank you.
Public Works Committee, Trustee Sheehan.
Thank you, Mr. President. Monthly report, staff repaired 8 water main breaks during the month, installed a new fire hydrant, replaced a 6-inch valve that was unrepairable, replaced a 6-inch valve unrepairable. A 10-inch water main was replaced at the west end of Woodlawn, which feeds Nazareth and the congregation of St. Joe's. DPW continued water line surveys with residents by hand delivering notices and scheduling appointments to inspect water meters and service line material. Brush collection program continued and will continue the first full week of each month through October. Hydrant flushing continued on the east side of town. Tree removals were completed by staff and contractors and will continue through the year. All staff participated in a team building training this month held at Plymouth Place. The open maintenance position number 1, maintenance worker number 1 was hired. If you see Jeremiah Bowman around town, say hello and welcome him to the town. Street patches were completed along with parkway restorations. GIS work completed, collecting data on village-owned assets along with training throughout the village. Water meters were read in Section 2. 15 monthly water bacterial samples were taken. Various water and sewer work orders were completed along with resident tree concerns and general construction inquiries. Routine maintenance was completed on the department fleet and equipment as well as police and fire vehicles. Next we have IDOT resolutions. IDOT resolutions, Park Road and the Morgan and Harrison resurfacing projects. Purpose is to approve a resolution with IDOT to utilize MFT funds for the upcoming Park Road and last year's Morgan and Harrison resurfacing project. IDOT requires the board to pass a resolution to appropriate the funds from this account for large-scale roadway projects, including the upcoming 500 block of Park Road resurfacing project. The resolution for last year's project, which included the 1,400 and 1,500 blocks of Morgan and Harrison, is also included for approval. Park Road, you see $689,200, engineer estimate and engineering services. Morgan Harrison, $560,000 total project cost, including engineering. Hancock Engineering has prepared the resolution for improvement under the Illinois Highway Code. Staff recommends approval of both documents. Therefore, Mr. President, make a motion to adopt a resolution for improvement under the Illinois Highway Code for the expenditure of $689,200 in MFT funds for the Park Road resurfacing project. 2, to adopt a resolution for improvement under the Illinois Highway Code for the expenditure of $560,000 in MFT funds for the Harrison Morgan resurfacing project.
Motion to have a second?
Second.
Motion and second, discussion, Trustee Sheehan?
Thank you, Mr. President. Yeah, it's just a formality. We do that every year. I guess it was Director Reddy, correct me if I'm wrong, that Morgan Harrison was just a paperwork correction.
Correct.
Thank you. That's all I have, Mr. President.
Thank you, Trustee Sheehan. Any other comments from the board? Seeing
I
none,
have,
Megan, call
I have a
the
question.
Trustee Council.
Thank you. Rick, we're only doing the 500 block of Park Road. When are we going to anticipate the 300 and the 400 blocks of Park Road?
It's anticipated next fiscal year, depending on receive the grants, but it also depending on the budget, coming up. But that's what our goal is. It's in our 5-year plan for next year.
Thank you.
Megan, call the roll.
Trustee Lauder?
Yes.
Trustee Zora?
Yes.
Trustee Council?
Yes.
Trustee Sheehan?
Yes.
Trustee Stewart?
Yes.
Trustee Caputo?
Yes.
The motion passes unanimously, Mr. President.
Thank you, Megan.
Next, we have, Mr. President, the 2024 Sidewalk and Concrete Program. Purpose is to award a contract with Narduli Construction Company, Inc. for the 2024 Sidewalk and Concrete Program. Each year, the village budgets funding for concrete work related to the annual sidewalk replacement program and concrete utility repairs. Under this program, the village replaces sidewalks determined to be a potential trip hazard at no cost to the residents and replaces curbs, aprons, and sidewalks removed from utility work. The bid results are below. Narduli Construction came in at $61,517.10. Like the number of engineers estimate, $98,865. Additionally, the village provides a pass-through program enabling residents' participation for sidewalk replacement at our contractor pricing. Staff anticipates the program would cost an additional $4,000 as indicated in this year's budget, with revenue also budgeted at $4,000. Due to favorable pricing, staff recommends maximizing each account for additional work. MFT funds $50,000 in account 270-70-80200 sidewalk annual program. Water funds $40,000 in account 570-60600 concrete restorations. General fund $4,000 in account 170-61700 resident sidewalk replacement funded by resident payments. Staff recommends awarding a contract with Narduli Construction Company, Inc. for the 2024 sidewalk and concrete program for a not to exceed amount of $94,000. Therefore, make a motion to award a contract with Narduli Construction Company, Inc. in a not to exceed amount of $94,000 for the 2024 sidewalk and concrete program and resident participation program.
Motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Second, discussion, trustee Sheehan?
Thank you, Mr. President. Narduli is a qualified contractor. Sidewalks need repair, and this will make a good dent this year. Thanks.
Thank you, trustee Sheehan. Any other comments from the board? Seeing none, Megan, call the roll.
Trustee Lautner?
Yes.
Trustee Zora?
Yes.
Trustee Council?
Yes.
Trustee Sheehan?
Yes.
Trustee Stewart? Trustee Caputo?
Yes.
The motion passes unanimously, Mr. President.
Thank you, Megan. Thank you, trustee Sheehan.
One more.
Go ahead.
One on the mark services, water main valve repair and exercising. Purpose, staff seeks the village board authority to approve a not to exceed amount of $35,000 with on the mark services for water main valve repair and exercising. The village hires a contractor on the mark, OTM, each year to exercise water valves within a distribution system and repaired failed valves. Exercising a water main valve is a routine maintenance task involving opening and closing the valve to ensure it works properly. This process helps prevent the buildup of rust and other mineral deposits that can cause the valve to malfunction. OTM will also repair these valves for a much lower price than removing and replacing them. To date, we have spent $18,300 for services rendered by OTM and have 2 pending invoices that would exceed the village manager's spending authority, which requires approval of the board. Furthermore, several valves were identified during the exercise program that will need repairs before the end of the current fiscal year. OTM has worked with the village for over 40 years and has been a good partner in keeping our valves in working order. The fiscal year 24-25 budget includes $35,000 for this service in the water fund, 570-60600, valve exercising and repair. Staff recommends the board approve the not to exceed amount. Therefore, make a motion to approve a not to exceed amount of $35,000 for water main valve replacement and exercise with on the mark services.
Second.
Motion and second, discussion, trustee Sheehan?
Thank you, Mr. President. This is a very good investment. I know this from my previous hat, Warren. This is good. Would probably save Public Works in the middle of winter. Trying to turn off a valve when it's 20 below and the main's blown, and they can't shut the valve off or get a good stop, so I wholeheartedly support this.
Any other comments from the board? Seeing none, Megan, call the roll.
Trustee Lautner?
Yes.
Trustee Zora?
Yes.
Trustee Council?
Yes.
Trustee Sheehan?
Yes.
Trustee Stewart?
Yes.
Trustee Caputo?
Yes.
The motion passes unanimously, Mr. President.
Thank you, Megan. Thank you, trustee Sheehan. Going back to administration committee, trustee Council?
Thank you, Mr. President. Save the date. The village's annual fall cleanup day will take place on Saturday, October 12th. Eligible residents must purchase 5 refuse stickers from village and place them on their items at the curb by 6 a.m. Visit the village's website for more info and list of acceptable items. Vehicle sticker and dog tags expire on October 31st, so now is the time to renew. This year's village sticker commemorates the 125th anniversary of the Grange Park Fire Department and features a historic photo of firefighters from 1900. All residents who own a motor vehicle or any person having control or use of a motor vehicle must annually obtain a village vehicle license for each motor vehicle. Stickers are $35. Senior stickers are $15 for those 65 and over, and they're limited to 1 per household. Late fees start on November 1st, and vehicles without a valid sticker may be ticketed. visit the village's website for more information regarding payments. Thank you. That concludes my report.
Thank you, trustee Council. Finance Committee, trustee Lautner.
Thank you, Mr. President. This evening I have the village's general fund financial performance through August of 2024, which is 1/3 of the fiscal year. Fiscal year to date general fund revenue of $4,532,655 is at 38.7% of the annual budget and $1.96 million higher than last year, and that's primarily due to the timing of property tax receipts. Property tax receipts are $1.88 million greater than last year. The county mailed out second installment bills late last year, which were due on December 1st, and this year the second installment bills returned to a typical due date of August 1st. Other local taxes are lower by $16,704 or 5.5%, and that's due to the timing of cable franchise fee payments. Intergovernmental receipts are up $131,257 or 9.6% from last year. And sales tax and income tax continue to trend higher, while state use tax and personal property replacement tax are lower. Licenses and registration fees are at $6,637 or 34% lower than last year. The amount received to date is a small portion of the revenue, and that will rebound now that the vehicle sticker sales have started. Permit receipts are at $109,412 or 44.4% lower than the prior year, and that's due primarily to several large new construction projects last year. Charges for services are at $16,441 or 4.8% higher than last year, and that's due to ambulance service receipts. Fine revenue is at $17,888 or about 50% higher than last year. Miscellaneous revenue is at $44,946 or 29.2% greater than last year, and that's due to increased interest income. Total general fund expenditures of $3,664,294 is at 33.4% of the annual budget, and $779,792 or 27% greater than last year. And the increase is primarily due to the police pension contribution, which is recorded as property tax receipts are received. And importantly, all departments are within budget expectations. And that concludes my finance report for this evening, Mr. President.
Thank you, trustee Lautner. Okay, moving on to other reports. Village clerk.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have no report this evening.
Our village treasurer.
No report tonight, Mr. President.
Commercial Revitalization Committee, trustee Stewart.
Thank you, Mr. President. Branding and identity plan. The village is developing a branding and identity plan to enhance the Grange Park's sense of place, navigation, and signage. Span, the village's consultant, completed public engagement activities this summer and is now creating a brand strategy and identity system. Visit the village's brand and identity plan webpage for more information about this project. Facade and property renovation revitalization program. The village is accepting applications for the new facade and property revitalization program, which assists property and business owners to enhance the external appearance of their properties. In order to be eligible, the building must be used for commercial purposes and must be located within one of the village's TIF and or BD districts. Visit the village's website for more information. CRC committee, stay up to date on what's happening in Grange Park by attending the village's commercial revitalization committee meetings. The committee meets regularly to discuss how the village can best support new and existing businesses and enhance the commercial areas in town. Check the calendar page on the village's website for upcoming dates and agendas. And that concludes my report, Mr. President.
Thank you, trustee Stewart. Village engineer.
No report, Mr. President.
Our village attorney.
No report, Mr. President.
Motion to approve community and collectors report as presented.
So move.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I just have a couple items. Julia, chief, and myself we sent out an RFP for adjudication. We looked at the responses. We received 8, and Chief and Julie and I sent ours into LaGrange. LaGrange is doing the same thing, and we'll just keep you up to date on what the selection becomes and when it's available. Julie and I attended the IML conference this weekend. It was a tremendous conference. I urge everybody next year to try and put it on their schedule because there's always something to learn. They spent the whole afternoon on TIF district stuff. So, but it was a great event, and I'm privileged to be a part of it. Public participation. Mr. Council, anything for the good of the order? Okay. Any new business? Motion to move into executive session?
Submit a motion to move into closed session for the purpose of discussing the purchase or lease of real property for the use of the public body according to 5 ILCS 120/2 C5, not to return to regular session until the next regularly scheduled meeting October 8th in this room.
Second.
Megan, call the roll.
Trustee Lautner?
Yes.
Trustee Zora?
Yes.
Trustee Council?
Yes.
Trustee Sheehan?
Yes.
Trustee Stewart?
Yes.
Trustee Caputo?
Yes.
The motion passes unanimously, Mr.
Thank
President.
you, Megan. We'll move into executive session.